If you've ever had questions about weight, diabetes, and heart disease, then today's show is just for you.
When I think of your love, when I think of your forgiveness, when I think of your grace, when I think of your protection, makes me want to see, makes me want to see, makes me want to dance.
I want to welcome my guest, Dr. Carol from Texas. She's the author of Women's Health. Thank you for joining me today.
Well, thank you, Kristi. I'm so glad to be with you today. You know, I think technology is kind of cool. I'm here in Austin, and you're there, and we can still have this conversation. So thank you so much for this opportunity.
I want to jump right in, Dr. Carol. We hear today that 2/3 of Americans are obese or overweight. Is this true? And why do you think that is?
Well, sadly, Kristi, that is true. These numbers come from large studies looking at the U.S. population. They're looking at body mass index, how much people weigh compared to their height. And if you weigh more than is a certain value for your height, your chance of developing all kinds of health problems increases. It increases more depending on how much heavier you are. And sadly, fully 2/3 of us adults are in the overweight category. What's even more concerning is that fully 1/3 of adults are in the obese category. That's above a certain extra weight on the body mass index. And their risk of illnesses is even higher. Now, we're using these words, obesity and overweight and so on, and that can be tough to talk about. These words can stir up a lot of shame and guilt. I know from watching people in my own family deal with this issue, how emotional and difficult it can be. So hang in there. You know, we're going to get to some solutions. I just want to acknowledge as we begin how personally difficult it can be to think about these issues. You've probably tried over and over again to deal with it if this is you. And we want to talk about some of the things that we know can help. I also want to say one other thing, that this is really concerning me personally, and that is how it's affecting our children and adolescents. Fully 1/3 of children and adolescents now are overweight. And we know that children who are overweight are more likely to continue to remain overweight and develop those health problems at a younger and younger age. So we need to address this as early as possible in someone's life. So I'm glad we're talking about this today.
And how did this become such a big problem?
I believe there's two primary reasons. The first reason is how our general eating patterns have changed in this country. Imagine several decades ago, you couldn't walk into a supermarket and pick food off the shelf that was ready to eat or took just a few minutes to prepare. You couldn't drive down the street and pass any number of fast food restaurants. Sure, convenience has its benefits, but our bodies were not created for the kind of processed foods that we have been eating. And as the years have gone by, the processed food has become a bigger and a bigger part of our American diet. Another thing that has changed is how we are getting physical activity, or more importantly, not getting physical activity. Modern conveniences, again, do a lot of nice things, but we're not moving our bodies, we're not burning up the calories that we used to. The combination of easy processed food and a sedentary lifestyle it's a double whammy for developing a weight challenge. And our society as a whole has developed that. There's another issue, and that is women in pregnancy. I see this as an OBGYN. When a woman gains a lot of weight during pregnancy, or when she is overweight when she conceives already, that baby is born with changes in the baby's genetic makeup that predispose that child to have weight challenges and related health issues later, decades later. So as the generations have gone by, our children are born with a greater and greater genetic challenge right from the start. And it's a real problem.
Dr. Carol, what do you tell your patients when they need to lose weight?
Move to unprocessed food. That's the most important thing of all. That's the single most important thing I believe that you can do. How do you know if something is processed versus unprocessed? If it comes in a package, if it has a long list of ingredients, or if it has a long shelf life, it's processed. Man has put all their additional stuff into it, and your body is not going to do well with all those extra flavorings and preservatives and emulsifiers and all that stuff. Moving to unprocessed food isn't something you can do all at once. I encourage my patients to choose one processed food each week and move to a less processed alternative. For example, if you're used to sugary breakfast cereal, well, maybe move to oatmeal, even instant oatmeal. It's less processed. If you're used to a egg McMuffin, well, make an egg and a piece of whole wheat toast. It's less processed. If you're used to battered frozen fish sticks that you put in the microwave and are ready in a couple minutes, instead choose unbattered, fresh or frozen fillet of fish that you bake yourself at home with the addition of some vegetables. Moving to less processed food will make such a difference. The second thing I tell my patients is move your body more today than you did yesterday. We're used to just sitting in front of the TV or sitting at our desk at work, many of us are, and if you can just move a little bit more, you're going to burn up more calories, you're going to feel better, and it's going to be easier to manage the weight. If you can't exercise for 30 minutes, start where you can. Walk out your door for 5 minutes, then turn around and walk back. You'll be walking for 10 minutes. Instead of grabbing a snack at your break at work, walk down the air-conditioned hall and around for 5 or 10 minutes. Move your body more today than you did yesterday. And there's all kinds of fun ways to keep track of that now. I have a little app on my phone that measures my steps. You can get a Fitbit, all kinds of ways to help keep track of your exercise and motivate yourself to move a little bit more. If there was a magic pill, well, whoever made that magic pill would be rich. This doesn't sound very exciting, but less processed food and moving your body more really is the best way to deal with the weight challenge.
Dr. Carol, what specifically do you feel like is the best diet for people?
An eating plan of unprocessed foods. I say in Dr. Carol's Guide to Women's Health, I really don't like the word diet. It implies that for a period of time you're going to change your eating, and then you're going to go off the diet and go back to the way that you were eating before. That's not going to get us the long-term results that you or I want. The best diet for health is a steady change to healthier, unprocessed foods that you will be able to stick with for the long term. If you do want to choose a particular diet, I think the Mediterranean diet has the best science behind it. As the name implies, it was developed from eating plans that people followed in the region of the Mediterranean Sea in the Middle East, largely vegetables, fish, olive oil, some walnuts, and red wine is included in moderation for some. But that diet has been shown to have great benefits for health in all kinds of ways, managing weight included. So if you want a specific eating plan, look up the Mediterranean diet and move your eating plan closer to that Mediterranean diet, and you will do much better over the long haul in your health and in your lowering your risk of disease.
Well, stay tuned. We'll be right back to hear more from Dr. Carol. Calm Waters Counseling knows the difficulty of picking up the phone and making that first call. I want to encourage you that you'll be treated with respect and all your information will remain confidential. So whether you need counseling for depression, anxiety, or family issues, or if you just want some coaching regarding making that life decision, I want to encourage you today to pick up the phone and make that first call. Interconnect Ministry originated from a mother's heart and is a 501c3 organization. Currently, they offer an inmate mailing program, but they are working on transitional housing, permanent housing, and transportation. If you would like to add a name to the inmate mailing list, or volunteer, or donate, contact them today. Computer Specialist is a locally owned Christian business. Have you ever been frustrated by your computer or television? Contact them today. They provide assistance with computer issues, television and game console repair, and they also provide website design. They also have a heart for reaching out to their community by providing encouragement and support. So contact them today at 618-377-0577. Dr. Carol, so many women are going through menopause and complain about gaining weight. Does menopause really make women gain weight? And what can they do to help maintain a healthy weight throughout menopause?
Well, I'm a member of the Over 50 Club myself, so this is a little personal to me also. And I see so many women going through the menopause transition who do struggle with their weight. Many of them wonder, is it their hormones? They wonder if they take estrogen therapy, will that make them gain weight? Will it prevent weight gain? We know from good studies that women who take estrogen and women who do not take estrogen gain weight at the same frequency. So we know it's not the estrogen therapy that impacts the weight gain. We believe that it's a change in a woman's metabolism that happens around the time of menopause. We know that weight frequently redistributes in a woman's body around that age as well. The weight tends to accumulate around a woman's midsection after menopause. But the good news is we know that that can be prevented. Women who step up their physical activity, who begin exercising more regularly at menopause, can limit and often prevent that weight from settling in their midsection. They can keep that from happening. It's also extra important to stay away from the processed foods or cut back on the processed foods if there are a lot of those in your diet. As your metabolism changes after menopause, your body becomes even less able to handle that processed food. So the fruits, the vegetables, the whole grains, the lean meat, most of your diet should be that. And yes, you can manage and even lose weight even after menopause.
Do you think God cares if we're overweight?
God will not check your body mass index on the way into heaven. There are no scales at the pearly gates. But yes, I believe God does care about how we care for His temple, our body as the temple of the Holy Spirit. God cares about that. And I believe He does for two reasons. First, God doesn't like His children to suffer. When you and I are not living the lifestyle to be at our maximum health, we suffer. If you're overweight, you are more likely to develop an illness or disability, and God doesn't want that for you. So because He doesn't want you to suffer, He cares. The second reason He cares about your weight is that He wants you and needs you at your best. You have a purpose to fulfill in whatever area of life you are. He has given you a purpose. And if you are not managing your weight well, you will not be as effective in fulfilling that purpose. Doesn't mean God can't use you if you're overweight. It means you can be more effective with more energy, a better advertisement for God's kingdom, with better managing your weight. I believe God cares deeply about how hard it is also for you to do this. Making these lifestyle changes is tough, and God knows that. You probably will not be able to stick with any of these lifestyle changes just thinking that you're going to less likely develop some kind of illness. You need a big enough why inside to stick with those changes. Perhaps the very best why of all is that God wants you and needs you at your best. If you believe that God cares about how you care for this temple, that will be a very important motivation in sticking with any changes you need to make. God will give you the wisdom and the courage to do what you need to if you need to change in this area. In that way, yes, God cares.
Dr. Carol, it seems like we hear a lot about diabetes nowadays. Is there anything that we can do to keep from getting this disease?
Yes, you certainly can lessen your risk for diabetes. That risk is directly related to your weight, your activity level, and processed carbohydrates that you eat. Now, if you have family members who were diabetic, or if you have lived a big part of your life already being overweight, your challenge may be a little bit greater than for others, but you can still make an enormous difference in your risk for diabetes. If you need to lose some weight, don't think of it as losing all that you need to lessen your risk of diabetes. I tell my patients to make your goal 10%. That means if you weigh 200 pounds, make your goal losing 20 pounds. If you weigh 300 pounds, make your goal losing 30 pounds. If you can lose that 10%, your risk of diabetes will be decreased dramatically. Your metabolism will be changed, your body will be healthier in many ways, even if you don't lose all the weight that you ideally might want or put you at an ideal weight. That's not a very worthwhile goal for most people because it's just too big. It doesn't seem doable. And you may not be able to get all the way there. But if you can just lose 10%, you will be so much healthier. That's the goal.
I want to encourage you to come right back for more information from Dr. Carol. ProSteam Carpet Care and Restoration is a family-owned business, and they offer many services other than carpet cleaning. Look at these amazing before and after pictures, and they offer 100% customer satisfaction. They're also members of the Better Business Bureau with an A rating. They use state-of-the-art truck mount equipment, so contact ProSteam Carpet and Care Restoration today at 636-299-2925.
I was so broken, and I turned on that music, and I would just raise my hands, and I was just weeping. And about after 10 minutes, I began to notice that my tears began to dry up. And my weeping, I began to smile again. And then I was able to speak it out and to shout out praises to God. My friend, when you put on the garment of praise, God will take away the spirit of heaviness. Part of being on the battleground is praising God, is knowing who He is, of knowing how big and how great your God is. Our God is great and mighty and awesome.
Right now, right here in Madison County,
families are suffering trauma due to violence,
addiction,
poverty, and homelessness.
mother,
child,
father,
daughter,
Brother,
Riverbend Family Ministries
is a safe place to fall. We are
passionately committed to helping build and
fortify
fortify
strong, healthy families
and lending a helping hand.
serving individuals, families, and the community.
riverbendfamilyministries.com.
Dr. Kill, what is the connection between weight, diabetes, with heart disease?
Other than smoking, being overweight and having diabetes are probably the two biggest factors that increase your risk for heart disease. Being overweight puts extra strain on the heart. There's more miles of blood vessels. Your heart has to work harder to pump the blood through all of them. Your metabolism is also different when you're overweight, and those differences damage the lining of blood vessels. The blood vessels can become more rigid, less elastic. That kind of damage to blood vessels makes it easier for clots to form, for plaque to form, that leads to heart disease. The extra blood sugar and insulin in diabetes also damage the blood vessels, making it easier for clots to form and plaque to form, leading to heart disease. The very things that you do to manage your weight and improve diabetes or prevent diabetes, those are the very same things that are good for your heart and can prevent heart disease. Losing a modest amount of weight, even if you don't get back to the weight that you ideally maybe should be. Eating less processed foods, being more physically active, those definitely lessen your risk for heart disease as well. So it's all kind of a package.
Dr. Carol, if somebody is overweight and has diabetes, is there anything they can do to reduce their risk of obtaining heart disease?
Yes, you absolutely can lower your risk of heart disease at whatever point in the process you are. If you are overweight and have diabetes and know that you have a risk of heart disease, small changes now can dramatically lessen that risk. Even if you already have heart disease, you can do a lot to make your heart stronger and live healthier longer. It's those very same principles. It's losing a modest amount of weight, 5 to 10% of weight loss will definitely help your heart, even if you already have heart disease. Eating unprocessed foods will do the same. Being physically active, just being physically active. If you even don't lose much weight, physical activity itself will make your heart stronger, whether or not you have diabetes and whether or not you're overweight. All of these things work both independently and together. And that's the really good thing. Eating unprocessed food, moving more, helps you lose weight. That helps your heart. It's all a package. I want to encourage you that it's never too late. I often hear people say, well, I already have this illness or that disease, so there's really not much I can do anymore. Thankfully, that's not true. We know scientifically that making these lifestyle changes, unprocessed food, moving your body more, can reverse some of those illnesses. They can make your heart stronger, and you can live much longer and much healthier, even if you've already developed those illnesses, by making some of these lifestyle changes. I want to encourage you too, that God knows how tough this is. He knows you don't want to be sick. He doesn't want you to be sick. And He will give you the wisdom and the courage to stick with some of these changes so that you can live healthier and be a glory to His kingdom.
I want to thank you for being here today. Is there anything else that you'd like to share about overweight, diabetes, or heart disease?
It's the small things that matter. It really doesn't matter how much you weigh today, for example, or next month, or even really next year. But it ends up mattering a whole lot how much you weigh 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 15 years from now. If you gain 1 pound a month, just 1 pound a month, you'll have put on 50 pounds in 5 years or less. 10 years, that's 100 pounds if you keep up that same pattern. On the other hand, if you just lose a pound a month, you'll have lost 10 pounds this year. If you lose 2 pounds a month, you can lose 50 pounds in 2 years. It's those small changes that add up over time. Don't despise the day of small beginnings. That's a biblical principle, and it is so true when it comes to these lifestyle things. Make those small changes today and ask for God's help to stick with them.
Thank you for joining me. Is there a way that people can find out more about you and your book?
Oh, thank you for asking, Kristi. You can find me on the internet at drcarolministries.com. That's DRCAROL ministries.com. And I invite you to put your email address in there when you go to our website. Every now and then I'll send you helpful information, articles, or other resources, and I would love to connect with you that way. You can find Dr. Carol's Guide to Women's Health on our website. You can also find it on Amazon or anywhere books are sold, wherever's easiest for you. Just ask about Dr. Carol's Guide to Women's Health, and I hope you take advantage of that. I have to say, Kristi, this has been really pleasant. Thank you so much for this opportunity. And I just want to say to all your viewers, may God bless you.
Well, I want to thank Dr. Carol for joining me today all the way from Texas. And I hope today that her answers and information about being overweight or diabetes or heart disease has encouraged you to take a look at your own medical health. And now you can make informed decisions on what to do for your physical health. Well, join us next week.